Let's look at fibroadenoma in breast FNA specimens. So this is the most common benign tumour and probably the most common cause of false positive diagnoses. So these are highly cellular specimens. I'll just give you an overview of this case to show you just how many epithelial cells are present. Notice, however, that they're all present in very cohesive, large groups of cells. Just here, this sort of amorphous metachromatic material down the bottom, this is stromal tissue. And remember, this is a biphasic tumour consisting of epithelial proliferation and stromal tissue. This is a classic appearance of fibroadenoma epithelial cells in a branching sort of staghorn appearance to the cells. Just on low power again here, notice how cohesive these epithelial cells are. They have rounded edges to them, some branching of the cell groups, and very tightly cohesive. On high power, look, we can see that lovely bimodal pattern with the darker myoepithelial cells lying over the top of the epithelial cells. And when you get your eye on, you can even see that on low power, these branching, cohesive, rounded groups. Notice in this area here, we've got a lot of bare bipolar nuclei too. So these are the myoepithelial cells stripped off the epithelium. Just showing the bimodal pattern in there again. It's quite obvious. Notice you have to focus up off the epithelial cells to see it. Another huge group here of epithelium, and I think even at this power you can see that it's bimodal and cohesive. This is the Giemsa. Notice all the bare bipolar nuclei in the background here. Some people describe these as being like showers. This is some more stroma here, that pink mucinous looking material there underneath the epithelial cells. Lots of bare bipolar nuclei. And they should roughly be in proportion to the epithelial cells. So with this number in the background, I would know this is definitely not malignant. Just showing you on high power always helps to check and make sure they don't have cytoplasm, so they should be just stripped, and they'll be variable in shape, but many of them will be quite elongate, so bipolar. Most of them here are sort of round, but we've got some definite sort of ones with pointy ends. Just on higher power, you can see that bimodal pattern in the Giemsa stained epithelial cells. And notice that the nuclei are fairly uniform. So in fibroadenoma, particularly in younger patients, you can get quite a bit of variation in nuclear size sometimes, some what we would call nuclear atypia, but it's the pattern that's all important. So if you notice that there's a bimodal pattern like this and bare bipolar in the background, then you can be assured that it's benign. Now, I just wanted to talk about stroma a bit. So this is stroma on the Pap stain. I've shown you it on the Giemsa. It stains this blue-green colour, the collagen of the stromal tissue in fibroadenoma. Notice it's fairly polycellular, elongate nuclei. The cellularity varies quite a bit. And then this is a classic clump of stromal tissue from a fibroadenoma, and this is what we call fibromyxoid stroma. Notice how I can see sort of fibers running up and down through that clump of stromal tissue. We've got quite elongate nuclei, and it's got a myxoid appearance to it, so that's kind of like a mucinous appearance. And the club sort of shape of that is typical as well. So the amount of stromal tissue that we see varies case to case. So in summary, fibroadenomas are usually highly cellular. Now, histologically, the tumour usually consists of more stroma than it does epithelial cells, but the process of needling that samples the epithelial cells preferentially, so you end up with more epithelial cells than stroma usually. Sometimes you'll see no stroma, sometimes you'll see quite a lot, as in that last case that I showed you, but you always should see quite a lot of cohesive epithelial cells forming rounded, sometimes branching groups that are bimodal, and you should see abundant bare bipolar nuclei present.